Okay, here we go. Welcome into the Big Chief Show. I'm your host, Fred Davis, alongside the one, the only, bit of Mike Babbo. Merry Christmas, everybody. Glad to have you guys on board. It's Christmas Day. Let's shout out to Jesus. It's his birthday today. Big shout out to our boy, Jay Sizzle.
Jesus, the big man.
How old would JC be today? If
a little bit older than me.
Okay, at least 60. At least 60.
Yeah, at least 60.
At least 61. I didn't realize you were a year older than Mike, or you are Mike. I didn't realize you were a week older than our boy Henry Thomas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Henry will be 59 next month, and you just celebrated the big 6. So, which ironically enough, Xavier, did you know that you and Bitter Mike Babbo share the same birthday? Yep. Goat birthday, as Xavier says.
That's right. That's right. Hey, shout out. Happy birthday to Ricky Henderson, too. I think his birthday is the 25th of December. Talk about the GOAT in baseball.
Ricky is the I would love to hear Ricky's take on sharing a birthday with Jesus.
Only Ricky could share a birthday with Jesus.
Only Ricky could share, and then talk about it in the third person. Ricky loves Jesus. Ricky and Jesus go way back. So, look, we got 3 games today. Yesterday was such a – I mean, look, I get it. It's week 16, and maybe we're going to get better football games today. We can only hope so. I mean, look, you've got you got a Giants team, you got a Philly team that's reeling right now. You've got a game that everybody's calling the game of the year, and that's going to be the game tonight with the Ravens and, of course, the 49ers. I hope it's close, just for the sake of if San Francisco blows out Baltimore, we're never going to hear the end of we're all just playing second place to the 49ers. That's what's going to happen if we win tonight.
Well, yeah, and then there were reports out of Baltimore. Some players were really felt dissed that they were the underdog. I mean, what the hell do you expect? You're facing basically the hottest team in the land on both sides of the ball, and you're facing them in their own yard. I mean, so look, you could be mad about it, or you can do something about it, which we'll see what they do. And look, they played. Their last game was against Jacksonville. We know what a mess that team is. They're banged up on wide receiver. Of course, they're banged up in quarterback, and they're not scoring that many points like they used to. And so they've got. I wouldn't say that they're a mediocre team by any stretch of the imagination, but right now they're not in the class of the 49ers. I'm sorry. The Niners went into a very tough Philadelphia Eagles stadium. They went to Lincoln Financial Field and absolutely just put the smackdown on the Eagles, especially after going 3 and out in their first 2 possessions. Hostile place. I don't think Baltimore has faced a hostile environment like that this year. And so this is their opportunity to do so, and this is their opportunity to shut up all of the haters out there. So that is the most compelling game. You got the Giants against the Eagles, right? It's an NFC East matchup. The Eagles still got something they think out of Tommy Cutlets, and of course they got Saquon Barkley. The Giants do. I'm sorry. The Eagles are reeling, right? I think they've lost.
That's the $1 million.
I think they've lost 3 in a row. Right, exactly. They've lost 3 in a row. There's questions about Jalen Hurts and his productivity as a passer, for certain. And of course, we got the one that you and I and most of Raider Nation and Chiefs Kingdom, all of Raider Nation and Chiefs Kingdom, really focusing on is the first game of today's triple header, and that's the Raiders facing the Chiefs at Geha Field, Arrowhead Stadium, at noon on Central Time, 1:00 Eastern Time. So.
No, look, it's a compelling slate of games today. When you consider just the implications for all 3 games, and like you said, Mike, the first 2 games are more about the teams that are favorites, that being the Chiefs and the Eagles. Showing. I mean, for the Eagles, look, the Eagles. This is a get right game. This is we just need to stop the bleeding. We just need to win a football game to get back into winning football, right? Just to kind of shut everybody up and to just take a deep breath before this, before this playoff season starts, right? And I do think that, we have vastly underrated the impact of Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon to what they meant to that Philadelphia football team. I mean, I think we take things, we're so used to seeing movement on the OC side, on the DC side, that, and we understand that when you're a good football team, you're going to lose guys along the way. You're going to lose coaching staffs, you're going to lose players, what have you. And then, we just had this idea that, well, it's just a quick reload right afterwards. Well, I think we're realizing this year, when you look at what everybody, what Philly lost in both the front seven, what they've lost in the coaching ranks, all right? When you're swapping out DCs before a big game, Mike Babbo, that's a big, that's a little bit of an issue, right? Especially this late into the season. So, and look, I'm going to say this about Sirianni, all right? I don't like when my head coach is screaming at fans as he's walking off the field. Okay, like there's just, I'm sorry,
there's no place for it. Yeah,
there's no place for it. There's a level of decorum, there's a level of professionalism that I want out of my head coach. Okay, I'm all for. Look, I get it. We're a younger generation. We're in this world of let's all talk shit to each other. But when you've got Nick Sirianni walking off the field at Arrowhead. Okay. And oh, by the way, the only reason you won that game, Nick Sirianni, is because MVS is a piece of shit. Okay. So let's get that straight now. Let's make no mistake. Like, it wasn't any, brilliant coaching decision by Nick Sirianni that we all sat there and said, wow, look at what the fuck Nick Sirianni did to put, Andy Reid in a bind. No, you fucktard. The only reason you won is because MVS can't catch. Okay. Period. Right. So there's that. And so, you look like a jackass coming off that game where you're screaming at the fans. You've now lost 3 in a row. All right, your offense is in disarray. Your defense has been in disarray all season. You're making coaching changes, but on the eve of the biggest game of your season, and then you're gonna sit there and after the game, give us one-word answers. Oh, I do what I do. Fuck you, Nick Sirianni. Okay, that's all I got to say on that. Like I said, I like the brashness. I'm all for it, but there comes a point where you still need to be a professional about things, and I guess that's what I had a problem with. Is like, dude, Kansas City doesn't even have a beef with you. Like, literally,
it's not even the same goddamn conference. I mean, what do you
like, bro? You guys played one of the best Super Bowls that we've seen in the last 10, 15 years last year. Okay. It was the best, you couldn't have asked for a better Monday night game, and then you're going to start screaming at fans as you're walking off? Really? Like, that's anyway, whatever. It's like
you got to be better. You got to be better than that, especially
you got to be better.
You know what? And to turn the tables, let me tell you something. The Eagle fans are not the, let's say, the most staid in the world either.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Some of the crap that they hurl at the opposing players.
I mean, they're notorious for being
legendary, not for a good reason. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they throw batteries at Santa Claus for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So,
Santa Claus was a drunk idiot.
Well, look, man, it's it's
the holidays.
364 days out of the year just for one night. Think about it.
Right.
So though that second game will be interesting to watch, and like I said, we'll talk a little bit. We'll wrap up with our picks when we talk about Baltimore and San Francisco. I think it'll be a close game. I do. I think this game says more about Baltimore than it says about San Francisco. I think we all want to see. I heard what's his face. Dadgummit, Shannon Sharp talk about how Lamar Jackson can put teams on his back. Well,
I totally disagree.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. Look,
especially in the playoffs.
Sure.
Yeah, not in the playoffs.
Look, if we're gonna, and I'm going to say this: if we're going to start lambasting the Josh Allens of the world, the Dak Prescotts of the world for what they have and haven't done in the postseason, isn't it only right that we start lambasting Lamar Jackson for what he has and hasn't done? And I say lambasting in the sense of look, it's the reality of it. It's the fact that he's been a great regular season quarterback, and he leaves a lot to be desired in the postseason. So my big thing with him today is I want to see him go out there and play well against a good San Francisco football team. And what is, and I know they're not going to say it, but it's a Super Bowl preview, right? I mean, these are two of the best teams in the National Football League, and I don't think you and I would be at all surprised if in 2 months we're talking about a Baltimore-San Francisco Super Bowl.
Yeah, this certainly has the feel of a preview, doesn't it, Freddie D?
Is that a new watch, by the way, that I just saw?
Yes, sir.
Bling.
That's a birthday
bling.
gift. Mm-hmm.
Bling, bling. Is that a Citizen?
No, it's a Movado.
Oh! Huh?
Nothing but the best from Switzerland, my man.
Tell you what, my man's got his Raiders gear on. He's got his Movado watch. He's doing big boy things today. I like it. I mean, look.
We're getting serious here.
We won't be celebrating a Raider win today, but that's okay. Hey,
we'll see about that.
Mike. It's playoff position. No, look, I'm gonna tell you right now. If you guys won today, I'm out. I'm out on the Chiefs. If the Chiefs lost today at home to a Raider team that has nothing to play for other than their head coach, I'm out.
Well, that's a lot to play for, Freddie D. I mean, they've been in the abyss
for a Super Bowl.
For the last,
Not when you're playing for a Super Bowl if you're the Chiefs. This is a game. Look,
no, you're right. You're right. I mean, the Chiefs are playing for position in the AFC in the AFC hierarchy. Yeah, in their own psyche for sure, because they've been underperforming on offense for the last 4 or 5 weeks, right? But the Raiders are playing for a lot in the fact that they are playing for their identity. They're playing for their head coach. They're playing for their general manager. They're playing for their defensive coordinator. They're also playing for their jobs. I mean, Aiden O'Connell's playing for a job. Okay, yeah. Josh Jacobs is playing for a new contract. Devontae Adams is playing for to either stay in Vegas or get traded and probably get traded to a. What's that?
There's a lot going on the Vegas side.
There is a lot going on the Vegas side, and the thing is that but Fred, at the same time, you got it right. I mean, they're playing with one hand tied behind their back. They got no Josh Jacobs. He was a late scratch today. No Michael Mayer, their rookie tight end out of Notre Dame, who's just an absolute fucking beast, right? He is the second coming. I'm sorry, Freddie D.
They haven't given the ball enough to.
They haven't given the ball enough to. But don't you see a young Travis Kelce or a young who's Dallas Goedert in the making here?
Well, I'll tell you what I see. I see and look, I know right now everybody wants to get because look, this tight end class has been pretty dadgum good.
Nuts. It's
especially
great.
When you consider you still got Kincaid over in Buffalo, who's just getting going, and obviously Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta has been the best tight end in football this year.
And take McBride out of Arizona too.
And McBride kid out of Arizona. That's exactly right. So.
Right.
And don't get me started, because when you consider that the Chiefs, you had all these tight ends available, and the Chiefs took absolutely 0 of them. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, but my point is that to not have him, to not have Josh Jacobs, to still have an ailing Colton Miller, it's just going to be man. It's going to be tough for them to win.
You definitely have your work cut out for you. The only thing I'd say about Mayer, though, is that, because he's been kind of so underutilized anyway.
You're not missing much.
You're not missing a whole lot. Now, next year at this time, it's going to be a different conversation. I mean, look, if next year, if you're not going in there with the idea that he's going to catch 50, 60 balls and something's wrong. But that being said, look, I would consider not having Josh Jacobs the bigger issue today, just because of what he means to that offense, and just because, look, Chiefs have been good, not great against the run this year, so that's obviously something. Look, with O'Connell, you need a little play action pass to kind of lighten things up a little bit. I would expect Jacoby Myers to have a quasi large role in today's game, just because they've utilized him in a lot of different ways here lately.
Right. They need to, like they did against the Chargers, they need to be aggressive. They need to open up the playbook. Yeah, throw out the kitchen sink on them. Be aggressive, because what did you have to lose, really? I mean, you're playing in a hostile environment against the Super Bowl champions in a division opponent that has basically owned you for the last 4 years, right?
Yeah.
Aside from one victory in 2020, that's it.
Win or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. I mean, only I think it was like week 5 or week 6 in the 2020 season. That was it when they came away with that victory. John Gruden's probably that was John Gruden's highlight in his second stint as head coach. Other than that, it was not much to write about. So they have a chance to make a statement. They have a small chance to continue to make the playoffs. And for those in Raider Nation that are just worried about draft position, as a Raider fan, you should be worried about nothing else but winning. All right. Think of what our patriarch said. Just win, baby. We don't give a shit about draft position. We don't give a shit about, honestly, we don't even give a shit about the playoffs. We just want to win every single game. That's what you should focus on. Every single game, the game in front of you. Win that and then let the chips fall where they may. And if you get a bad draft position, so fucking what? I mean, look no farther than the team that's playing you. Look what they've done with their draft position. Okay, they've been in the bottom 5 for the last 4 or 5 years, and they've managed to find diamonds in the rough in the offensive line. Okay, and even in the defense. Okay, James Karlaftis is, he's no slouch. All right, Creed Humphrey is no slouch. Isaiah Pacheco was a 6th, 7th round draft pick.
7th round draft pick.
7th round draft pick. Okay, do you need a top 10 draft pick to win? No. Do you need Caleb Williams to win? I don't think so. I'm not sold on Caleb Williams. So let's worry about the task in front of us. Win today, then go to Indianapolis, and then hopefully win that game against a team that just got absolutely boat raced by, I think it was Cleveland, right? That was Tampa Bay, right?
Who's that?
I can't remember who that. The Colts. The Colts. The Colts.
No, the Colts got beat by who the hell did the Colts get? The Falcons.
The Falcons, right. The Falcons who were circling the drain up until yesterday. Okay, so those games are winning, but you win every game, and then you try to win every single game. Don't these fucking idiots on Twitter that are just going, oh man, with every win we slide further down the draft position. Fuck that. It's not like we've doing a great job in drafting anyway. So.
Yeah, but you still, I mean, look, and I get where you're coming from with that standpoint, but I think you look, I mean, the Chiefs weren't the greatest drafters. And again, that's the thing about the draft that's so finicky about it. And what makes it so difficult is that, again, you go into a year like this year where you say to yourself, all right, I mean, especially when you figure that Brett Veach did such a great job last year and the year before drafting, right? And so then you go into this year and you're thinking to yourself, all right, we're short on Travis Kelce's not getting any younger. There's nobody tight end wise that makes you think they can remotely step in and be the starter, God forbid, if he gets hurt. And we've seen that this year and nothing's happened, right? And so you think to yourself going into a draft like this is that, especially when it was so deep with tight end talent, and you say to yourself, oh, well, we got to get our heir apparent this year, right? I mean, that only makes sense, especially when you consider, okay, defensively, you're sitting at the end of the 32nd pick. Oh, by the way, Sam Laporta went 35, right, to the Detroit Lions. We take some Yahoo D end out of K-State for crying out loud, who's done jack shit this year. And part of that's been a byproduct of the fact that you've been fairly deep along the defensive line this year. But to my point, Mike, is that you just don't know, right? You just don't know. And a guy can have a monumental draft one year and then come back the next season. You're saying to yourself, like, you took a D end in the 5th round when you had Puka Nacua available, right? And of course, again, that's easy to cherry pick that kind of stuff. And then you're saying to yourself, well, who the fuck? Nobody knew Puka Nacua was gonna be that guy. But it just goes to show, it's like sometimes you just sit there and you scratch your head and you're like, what were you looking at? Like, what were you what decisions were you making? And I think you're gonna see maybe some revamp. And I think for Mark Davis and company, it's like, look, we've got to have you guys have had a fairly decent draft. You've had younger guys that have really stepped up this year, unlike in years past. So, it's something to build off of. And I guess more importantly for y'all is just, can you get a guy in the 1st or 2nd round that's going to be a starter, that's going to provide depth and that's going to provide starter-like minutes and starter-like snaps. And that's been the biggest problem, and you've talked about it, whether it was Mike Mayock or Reggie McKenzie, just the lack of depth in the first few rounds in the last 5 to 10 years that you've gotten.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, why do you think our boy Belichick's getting ready to get the boot?
Yeah.
It ain't because of his coaching.
He hasn't built a roster at all. I mean, his only wide receiver pick in the first round was the guy you mentioned a couple of weeks ago, N'Keal Harry, out of Arizona State, and he's been an absolute mess. I mean, he was a bust, a complete.
I don't even know if this guy's even still in the league. Is he?
I don't know. I mean, we'd have to look it up, but just the fact that we don't know just says volumes, right?
Oh,
okay, but have you even heard of him? No. The fact that he never made a pick in the first or second round.
Squad.
Okay, well there you go. No wonder we don't hear about him.
Well, he was born in Canada. Do we hold that against him? Should we?
They play football in Canada. A minor league version of football. So,
bro,
look,
he ran with all due respect, this guy ran a 4.53 40. Like, what were we? What were the fucking Patriots thinking?
Well, he got off on the wrong foot when he ended up on injury reserve all of his rookie season.
Yeah,
and so that's not going to endear you to the hoodie for sure. And so he probably got put in the doghouse. And it's hard once you get a reputation in pro sports of not being there when the bell rings. It's really hard to get out of that reputation, especially when there's somebody willing to take your spot.
No, it is, and look, I mean, it was one of those deals where, like you said, he got off to a bad start, and then he had one big play with the Chiefs where it could have been against the Chiefs. He got ruled out of bounds or something like that. It should have been replayed, and then of course it just seems like that was N'Keal Harry's career after that. But there was that. I mean, dude, a 4.53 40 for God's sakes. Although he did score 24 in his Wonderlic, so maybe they thought, look, size wise, they were, and he is 6'3". 230. So I mean, he's got all the, you look at him, you think to yourself, like, this dude should be a pretty solid receiver. And well, he hasn't been.
No,
he hasn't.
Looks like Tarzan.
Plays like Jane, bro. Plays like Jane.
Go.
So what did you what's going on family wise, Christmas wise over at Casa de Babbo?
Well, Casa de Babbo just finished a homemade lemon blueberry pound cake that Veronica made, the V-Rock made. It was just absolutely delicious. We ripped open a bunch of presents, and the V-Rock once again had a wonderful time wardrobing our son. She loves shopping for him. But all is good. We're about ready to. So now we were watching. We were in the middle of watching the 1938. Version of A Christmas Carol. I tried watching the one with Kelsey Grammer that was done last year.
Yeah.
It's too much of a musical for me. I mean, when I see Kelsey Grammer singing, I'm like, okay, too much.
I'll tell you what,
too much magic. Too much magic.
I need to finish watching Scrooged with Bill Murray. I was actually
that's a classic.
Yeah. I mean, come on, it's Bill Murray. What are you gonna do?
Who's the girl that who plays the angel and just keeps on bonking him over the head with her wand? That was fucking hilarious. The one with the high pitched voice.
Yes. Yeah, I know exactly. Yes, that's actually the part I left out on.
Fix him in the nuts. Anyway, but I actually, Freddie, getting back to yesterday's games, there are some questions answered, and there were some questions that were actually brought up. Hey, hats off to the Detroit Lions for the first division championship in 30 years, right? By beating the hated rival Minnesota Vikings in their own yard, 30-24, which was great to see. Robert Saleh, after getting the vote of confidence from the
damn near screwed the pooch.
Damn near screwed up a 16-point lead, I think. But then their kicker kicked a 56-yard.
They were up 17-0.
17 points. Okay. Yeah, they were. They were at the end of the first quarter. They were up 17-0. And they were up to 27-14 at the end of 3 quarters, and damn near. I mean, this is after Sam Howell was benched. And they went to
you got the old which I tell you what, just when you thought the Redskins couldn't get more fucked up, that's a mess.
Yeah.
Even because you thought, all right, at the very least, if you don't have Ron Rivera, you got Sam Howell that can be your guy. And where does it? Tell you what, here's a question I got for you: where does Eric Bieniemy go from here?
It all depends upon who the head coach is, because we both know that Ron Rivera is not going to last. He can't.
Oh, he's done.
He's done.
I'm not even sure why you're still letting him coach. I guess just to kind of trot things out, because you already know. I mean, what difference does it make, right?
Right.
Coach the last 2 games.
Right. I just don't know who the owner is going to bring in, and then is that new head coach going to bring in his own staff? Most of the time they do, right? And so then Eric Bieniemy is going to be looking for a job. But Eric Bieniemy had to think that Ron Rivera's job was at least, in doubt.
He knew he was coming in. He was in the hot seat. I mean, think about it. It's a new regime. Ron Rivera, and look, God forbid, and we've talked about this before, Ron Rivera's a nice guy, right? I mean, from all intents and purposes, he's a nice guy. He had a little cancer scare a couple of years ago, which obviously endears people to him.
His first year with Washington. Yep,
first year, right? All that being equal, he's an average football coach at best. Okay, he's an average football coach. Take away one good year that he had in Carolina when they got to the Super Bowl. Okay, he's a 500 coach. Okay, he's a 500 football coach. So the reality is.
I think he's had 4 winning seasons in his entire career.
Something like that. And they were all like 8-7 or 9-7 or something like that. To your point, I think it was look, Bieniemy just needed to get away from the Chiefs. And I think from an Eric Bieniemy branding standpoint, I don't think you could have asked for a better situation from the Eric Bieniemy brand. Why? One, the Redskins offense is better this year than it was last year. Right? Sam Howell has made some strides as a quarterback. Sam Howell looks better than he did last year. All right.
Yeah.
How much better? I'll let Redskin and people way smarter than me figure that out. The Chiefs, meanwhile, have not looked better offensively.
No, they've regressed.
Okay. And it's the little things that we keep talking about with that Chiefs offense that keep biting, rearing, coming back to bite him in the butt. And what is that what's the biggest difference there? You don't have Eric Bieniemy. You do have Matt Nagy. One guy's got a track record for being a shitty offensive head coach. The other guy, we've never seen it because we don't know anything. One guy's got a reputation for being a absolute ball breaker. The other guy's got an absolute, for just being a good, not great offensive coordinator. And so I think it's easy to see that you can tell the difference in the Chiefs offense without having Eric Bieniemy versus Matt Nagy. I do believe that there's there are discernible differences in not having Eric Bieniemy, and I think it's now look, would Eric Bieniemy be able to make Kadarius Toney catch balls? I don't think so. Although our boy, and by the way, he is out today.
Right.
So in some ways, all I'm gonna say is this: I do think that your boy Bieniemy is in a better position now than he was a year ago.
As long as he went into that job with eyes wide open and understanding that there was a risk that his head coach was going to be gone, then yes, I would agree with you. If not, then he's probably going to be blindsided he's going to have a rude awakening, because let's face it. I mean, once your boss loses his job, I don't care if you're an assistant football coach or if you are a salesman anywhere. Once your boss loses your job, your position is tenuous.
Well, I think he knows that.
Right? That's fine.
Look, and I think, like I said, I just think that with our boy Bieniemy, I think he's done enough to shed whatever stink or whatever we don't know what he does in Kansas City argument, because that was always the argument, right? Who was calling the plays? Who was the real genius behind the offense? And so I think by him going away, showing a Washington offense that had life when the rest of the team didn't, Because look, whether it's Sam Howell or Jacoby Brissett, guess what? The offense was humming. The offense was clicking, and it's clicked at different times throughout the year. So I do think Bieniemy, whether he's going to get some head coaching, I think he's definitely going to get some head coaching opportunities, or at least at interviews that he didn't get last year. But I do think he'll be an offensive coordinator once again. I just don't think it's going to be in Washington.
So, Fred, if I may, a couple more questions that were answered from me from yesterday's games. Number one, C.J. Stroud is your offensive rookie of the year. No question about it.
Isn't he?
Right? After what we saw the Texans offense with Case Keenum and Davis Mills, whole different team, right? Absolutely different team, because they didn't keep the ball, and the Texans defense was absolutely exposed.
Yeah, Joe Flacco looked like Ravens era Joe Flacco yesterday.
Yeah, look, that guy still got a freaking hose, right? But that was not the only reason. I mean, the Texans offense was just totally out of sync. Secondly, for me, Baker Mayfield's just played himself into a contract next year.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, after 4 touchdowns last week, the way he played and the moxie he played with and the courage he played with, I mean, he was lowering his head on some runs out there when it was like 3rd and 3, just going for it. He wasn't doing any foot slides. He was going head first. I mean, listen, he's 6 touchdowns, no interceptions in the last 2 weeks.
You realize he's on pace to have the best season of his career?
Yes. Yeah. And I think that his time with Sean McVay last year will be the turning point for him. I mean, he has found new life as an NFL quarterback. And good for him. And lastly, the Green Bay Packers almost blew a 30-16 lead to the woeful Carolina Panthers. Granted, it was in Carolina, but nobody goes to those games, as you can tell. Anyway.
I was going to say, I mean, it doesn't even count. You might as well be playing in the Astrodome, for crying out loud. That's right. How bad it was yesterday. Let me ask you this then: when you saw, the thing, like when you look at Baker, dude, if you look at Baker Mayfield's numbers this year, dude, he's on. I mean, look, he's thrown 26 touchdowns and only 8 picks this season.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty dadgum impressive when you look at what he's done numbers wise this year. I mean, and like you said, he's gonna with the next he's at 3,600 yards so far. His career high is 38.27 that he did his second year with the Browns. So yeah, he's at 3,600 with 2 games left. Hell, he might hit 4,000 this year. Right. He might hit 4,000, and he's only 28 years old.
No, I mean he's
28 years old.
And the Buccaneers must think that they just stole something. I mean, wasn't he the number 1 overall pick in the draft? Right? Yep, number 1 overall pick of the Browns in 2018.
Yes, he was.
He was a 1-1, and so for them, he's 2 yards shy of 3,600. And look, he had a slow start. Well, actually, no. I mean, he came out. He came out pretty well. I think he's only had really 1 game where he didn't have a touchdown, and that was back against the Lions, a 20-6 loss back in I think week 6 of the season. Ever since then, he's thrown at least 1 touchdown, and and the interesting thing is, Fred, he's never thrown more than 1 interception a game.
Mike, I'll take you. I'll do you one better, bro. Do you realize that outside of that game against the Lions, and he was just abysmal that game, 50% passing, only 200 yards. Dude, he's thrown a touchdown in every game. Mm-hmm. He's thrown a fucking touchdown in every game this season. Right. Holy Toledo.
One of the knocks on him in Cleveland was he couldn't take care of the football. Well, guess what? He's taking care of the football. He's doing it now. Listen, I mean – You talked about this. You talked about this earlier in the week before we went on air, Fred. I mean, what is the issue? Is the issue that we're putting these quarterbacks out there when they're too young and they don't know anything, or are we putting them back behind suspect offensive lines and giving them way too much and expecting way too much of them, considering that they don't have a decent offensive line and they may have only 1, maybe 2 weapons on offense to help them out?
I mean, look, I'm going to go back to what your boy Rich Gannon said, in that, we've done such a poor, NFL teams have done such a poor job. Well, Rich Gannon and Peter King both said the same thing.
Yeah.
The NFL has gotten so fixated on, okay, you got to get your quarterback, that they're doing it at the expense of building the rest of your team. Like we're starting to see, like, is it really all that crazy to think Justin Fields is actually starting to play better football right now? Okay, like it's not, and you look at, okay, he's in year 3 of his, he's got finally the same, year 2 with the same coordinator. You had an offensive line that's been beat to shit over the last 3 or 4 years. Before DJ Moore, who do you have? Okay.
Right.
Running back wise, we're not going to get too much into it because they've actually got a halfway decent slate of running backs. But offensive line, they've been iffy, and wide receiver, they've been iffy. And outside of Cole Kmet, who's been, sporadic throughout the season, it's just, and oh, by the way, they've been a shit NFL franchise for a decade plus. Okay. But
Right.
Using that as an example, I mean, after what I saw last night, would I want to start all over again with Caleb Williams or Drake May or insert whoever else you're going to go after quarterback wise this year? And I'll be honest with you, and I think I'd be kind of more like, look, I think I like what I'm doing with Justin Fields. Now, my question for you: what are you going to pay him?
Well, unfortunately, every quarterback is overpaid in this league because there's only 32 jobs. And
Daniel Jones fucked it up for a lot of people too.
He has. I mean, he took that massive contract extension and just
which you're not mad at him for.
I'm not mad at him for. I'm mad at the Giants brass for really setting the market. But again, like I said, every quarterback in the NFL is overpaid. Hell, the backups are getting $4.5–5 million because they know that they're one play away.
Let me ask you this: do you think now does that change though? Do you think to some degree the conversations or the negotiations now? Because if you're going into although I would imagine the Bears still have at least one more year left to worry about it though, if they decide not to take anybody because they've still got his 5th-year option left.
I really think that they need to pick up the option and then work on some type of a long-term deal because he is a dual threat quarterback, and you have seen glimpses of him where he can be very effective, just like yesterday, right? He was very effective with his legs and with his arm. I mean, he missed some throws yesterday. I watched that entire game. And Could he have played better overall? Yes. But has he played better overall since week 1 or even last year? Absolutely. And so you got to give him some targets. You got to give him some weapons. You have to give him an offensive line, but you also have to give him seat time. You have to give him reps. Quarterbacks need reps. Here's the problem, Fred, is that the model, especially for development of quarterbacks, is broken. What are they talking about now with the firing of Brandon Staley? They are talking about how, quote, how they wasted Justin Herbert's rookie deal. All right. So they have this. What are they saying? They're implying that they have this short window, 4, max 5 years, to get this quarterback going and win some playoff games or heaven help us win a Super Bowl. I mean, you've had some instances of rookie quarterbacks that have gotten deep into the playoffs, like a Trevor Lawrence, like a Joe Burrow, but those are few and far between. The most successful quarterbacks have had either seat time in college, unlike Trey Lance, unlike Justin Fields, or they sat, for like a year or so, a la Fitting, right?
Yeah. No, that was a big deal, though.
It is a big deal. And so now they're thinking, okay, we got to rush this guy, okay, a la Justin Herbert, a la Justin Fields. And they're saying, look, we got to rush this guy. We got to get him into the starting lineup. We got to get him playing games right now because we only have 4 to 5 years of him before we have to overpay him $1 gajillion. And it's just stupid because then you rush him and more often than not, a la Joe Burrow, when he's the number 1 overall pick. Why is he the number 1 overall pick? Well, because his team sucks. Why does his team suck? Well, most likely because his offensive line sucks or his defensive line sucks. All right. It's a broken model right now. Gone are the days of Kenny Stabler or Joe Montana, who sat for a couple of years behind Steve DeBerg or in the Niners case, or Daryl LaMonica in the Raiders case. Those guys are gone because you're paying so much money to these guys. Even if they're rookie deals, you got to get them out there now before the rookie deal is up and evaporated and gone, and then you have to pay them a shit pile of money.
And I look, Bryce Young's a guy that I think probably would have benefited. I mean, you look, the Panthers.
He's a mess. He's a mess right now.
He absolutely is. I mean, you could have easily played Andy Dalton and let him learn, and because Andy Dalton knows. Look, Andy Dalton knows the gig at this point. Andy Dalton's career is over. He's he's getting paid $8 to $10 to $12 million, whatever it is, to be a quarterback that just don't get killed and don't fuck things up too bad. So
look at what they've done. Look at the Falcons have done to Desmond Ridder. Starting bench. It's like, Jesus Christ. I mean, there's no continuity there. And then the clock is ticking on his rookie deal.
Yeah. Well, no, he doesn't have a rookie deal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because remember, I mean, he's a fucking third-round draft pick, so.
Well, okay, but I mean, but the thing is that he was a third-round draft pick, but they still had some promise behind him. Will Levis, right? They had some promise.
Desmond Ridder, though, like here's the.
But my point is, they keep on shipping.
But you bring up a great point with Desmond Ridder, right? Is because my thing is, all right, if you're the Bears and you're in year 3, okay. On one hand, it's like, all right, we haven't done a great job of building this team. On the other hand, there's been times where Justin Fields has looked good, and there's been other times where Justin Fields looked like absolute dog shit, and here, the thing, if you're the Bears, you got to ask yourself is this. We're kind of having the same conversation about Justin Fields right now that we had a year ago. Like, hey, season's going on. Think about what we talked about this summer. The Bears were one of my sleeper teams because we said, hey, look at how Justin Fields finished the season, and we expect this dude to really take that next step in 2024. And for the first 6-7 weeks of the season, their assistant coach was a fucking child rapist. FBI agents were swarming, the place allegedly. Okay, I mean, there were so many things that were going on. Then we find out, okay, well, maybe the guy's just a piece of shit. And oh, by the way, maybe Justin Fields is over here, calling out his offensive coordinator and the coaching staff and talking all big shit on them. Maybe Matt Eberflus is done before the season. I mean, there were so many things going on, and now here we are, and it's like, okay. Maybe Justin Fields is a decent quarterback after all. But again, we said this a year ago. We said the exact same thing. Now, you didn't have a DJ Moore a year ago, so there's a lot going on there. And you do have, right now, the Bears are sitting with the number 1 pick, and I want to say the number 8 pick right now. So you got 2 top 10 draft picks where you can do one of 2 things. You can make that number 1 pick a quarterback, and then obviously you're bailing on Justin Fields. Or you trade out of that number 1, and then you've got a boatload of draft capital for the next 3 to 4 seasons, and now you've got Justin Fields, and you've got a bunch of shit to work around. And at that point, if and then you're saying, okay, we're in on Justin Fields. We're in the Justin Fields business. And then you just hope the guy, takes that because now it's incumbent upon him to take the next step. Would you argue that in the first 5 years of an NFL deal with a quarterback, the team is responsible for everything that has to happen with success-wise? But it's after you make that investment, and after you put all those resources to them, then it's a matter of, okay, now I need you to take the next step in your development.
Well, it depends upon how much work he puts into it from day one, right? Yeah. I mean, most of the questions regarding Kyler Murray, who was also our number 1 overall pick, was, is he putting the work in? Is he putting in the film time in? And the answer was no. No. And that's why the previous regime, when they signed him to that god-awful, ridiculous extension, they actually put the clause in the contract saying you will spend this much time in study room. And, because of the backlash, they took it out, whatever. I mean, but the thing is that it all depends upon, and it also depends upon how much seat time he gets. True. Right? If you are going to just basically just throw him to the wolves year 1, 2, and 3, you're going to ruin that kid. And that's what they've almost done to Justin Fields right now. They gave him nothing in terms of an offensive line, and nothing in terms of wideouts, and in a rookie tight end in Cole Kmet, to really work the offense. And and so now the offensive line has gotten better, but maybe they just had time to, I guess, gel and learn how to work together, because in a team, there's 4 stages. There's forming, storming, norming, and performing. Maybe they're in the coming out of the storming stage and into the norming stage, where they're starting to gel. They're starting to figure out who does what, whose everybody's strengths and weaknesses are, and they're starting to finally figure it out. But and I think that Justin Fields has put in the work. I really do. I mean, I've seen some improvement from him. He still needs to improve on his throwing motion, still needs to improve a little bit on his footwork, but I think he's getting there. And again, you can't overestimate how much value it is to have a dual threat quarterback in the NFL these days. I mean, one of the things that the Raiders fans and Raider Nation, they poo-poo on Aiden O'Connell is that he's a statue out there. He's a prototypical pocket passer who has no running ability whatsoever.
No.
And everybody the reason why they can't have that. And the reason why they want to trade for Justin Fields and they want to trade to get Caleb Williams is because they get like 3 to 4 first downs with their legs, which Rich Gantt, no, it was actually I think it was Jim Miller or Pat Kerwin on NFL. Yeah, it was Pat Kerwin on NFL Sirius XM said you have to get at least 3 to 4 first downs from your quarterback with his legs.
Have to.
And
in today's NFL, you have to.
In today's, absolutely, because that breaks down and that demoralizes a defense, like we talked with Henry Thomas. And Aiden O'Connell doesn't provide you with that. So I think that they need to continue on with Justin Fields, because let's face it, what are you going to do? You're going to start over again? You know what you have in Justin Fields. You don't know what you have with Caleb Williams. There's a lot of great arm strength in there, but there's also some questions as to, I wouldn't say his character, but can he take a team, honestly, with a record like this and a history like this? Can he rise above it? All right? Can he make his teammates better? The jury's out on that, as far as I'm concerned.
Let's see. I mean, real quick, you got, like you said, you got your boy, who, by the way, and Caleb Williams is only 6'1", just in case you were wondering. You got Caleb Williams. You've got,
Bo Nix.
The guy. Well, Bo Nix. There's something Bo Nix in. I'm sorry, I can't get it.
Yeah, but Fred, you cannot deny the man that the kid has been a starter ever since he was a freshman at Auburn. Okay, there's a lot to be said for T.
Has he gotten a lot better? Yes, he has. I don't dispute that. There's just something about him as a quarterback that I don't know. Call me old-fashioned, but this group of quarterbacks I'm not in love with. There's just something about this group, and maybe because I'm not as intrigued by quarterback play right now, because we don't need one.
You got one. You don't need one.
We don't look at it the same way. I'll tell you who I'm intrigued by the most, though, is Jaden Daniels.
Oh God, yeah.
Like,
he's exciting. He's electric.
Can be that guy at the next level as he is now. I don't
know. I mean, there are a lot of. I don't know. I mean, he's got just as much chance as Bryce Young. He's got just as much chance as Kyler Murray. Yeah. He's got an accurate arm, and he is electric. I'm telling you, he will win games with his legs and his arm. I mean, I saw him. I've seen him ever since he was.
I know you're a big. You've been following him for a few years now, so I know you're a lot more plugged in than most folks are when it comes to.
I mean, he turned around that LSU offense.
No, he absolutely. I mean, look, he's about the only thing good that your boy Brian Kelly's done since he's been in Baton Rouge. Look, just give me a fucking look. I just want a receiving threat this year. That's all I want. All right, real quick. We're up against it. We got about 30 minutes before game time, and we got to go celebrate Jesus. 49ers, Ravens. Who you got?
Oh, I got the Niners.
That's what
I think the Niners are going to win like 31-23. Okay. And I really need the Niners to go bananas because I am so far down in fantasy right now. in the consolation bracket.
Fantasy out. No fantasy for me this week. I'm kind of bummed out.
Yeah, well, I'm jealous of you.
I picked the Niners to win today, 24-20. I do think it's going to be a good game. I do want to see just a good football game, and I'm curious to see what Baltimore looks like in a primetime matchup like that. I've got Philly taking care of business today as well, 23-10. What say you?
Oh, I was thinking more of the lines along the lines like 24-9 or 27-9. I just don't think that the Giants have any offensive firepower outside of Saquon Barkley. Philly's, again, a tough place to play. But Hurts needs to get right here.
Yeah, 100%. Taylor Swift is in the building, by the way.
Oh, good for her. I'm over her. I just think that the Giants are just playing out their season. I mean, look, Brian Daboll is he's done a better job in rallying the troops over the last couple of weeks, but they still just don't have enough to compete with the Eagles. Now, the Eagles defense's problems, like you mentioned earlier, I mean, they still got problems. I mean, they're like 28th against the run. That's right. 28th against the run, 255 yards. 28th against the pass, 255 yards. But I mean, look, this is Tommy DeVito, for crying out loud. Let's pump the brakes.
Tommy Cutlets, baby. It's Tommy Cutlets. Yeah. 27-9. Last but certainly not least, game of the day, Chiefs, Vegas. I got Chiefs taking care of business.
Of course you do.
27-17.
Well, I took the 10 points. It was a 10-point spread when I first took at it. Not having Josh Jacobs hurts. Not having Michael Mayer really, really hurts because I think now they're left with Austin Hooper as a tight end. That's
solid career Austin Hooper's had, though.
Yeah, he's had a solid journeyman type career. But look, Zamir White is not Josh Jacobs. Aiden O'Connell is going to have to get rid of the ball very quickly against this vaunted Kansas City Chiefs defense. But the best thing for the Raiders is to play ball control offense and keep 87 and Fitting on the sidelines. I'm not sure if they can do that. I mean, look, and it's not just a matter of getting ahead; it's a matter of staying ahead, Fred. I mean, look, they had a 14-0 lead, and it should have been 21-0 against the Chiefs, about a month ago in Vegas, and they couldn't hold it because they weren't aggressive enough. But I want them to be aggressive. I just don't see that happening. I think the Chiefs prevail. I think it's going to be like 30-24. This does have the potential for being an absolute blowout, though, because if the Raiders go zone against Kelsey, he will pick them the fuck apart. Oh. And if they watch film, for Christ's sakes, the biggest problem that Kelsey has had these days, because he's 34 years old, he's been banged up, is that they put at least, they double team him, and they say, you know what, we're gonna let frickin' Rashee Rice try and beat us, right? Because Kadarius Toney's out, but that might not be the worst thing for the Chiefs, right?
Doesn't matter.
I mean, right? Does it fucking matter? I mean, so are you gonna who's it?
Fewer drops today.
Right, exactly. Justin Watson, are you gonna try and double him as opposed to Travis Kelce? Come on, don't let 87 beat you. That's it, and then keep 15 in the pocket. Where he gets very dangerous is when he starts improvising after he gets flushed out of the pocket. Keep him within the tackle box, and you've got a chance.
All that being said, you like the score to beat?
30-24 Chiefs.
Okay. So you like the Raiders to cover today? Yeah. Okay.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it's a blowout.
Okay. Let me write that down in parentheses. Wouldn't be surprised. Blowout. Fair enough. Michael Babbo.
Freddie Davis.
I'll tell you what. Enjoy the rest of your Christmas day. Enjoy the rest of Jesus' birthday. I know I certainly will. Real quick. Let's get this other December 21st guy. Come here. Guest picker. We got a guest picker. We've got a guest picker in the house today. All right.
There he is.
a fellow December 21st. You know, what's better than having one guy with a December 21st birthday? Having two guys.
Two.
Birthday.
That's just fellow Sagittarius on the cusp, huh?
That's right.
What do you think, Xavier Zay? What do you think about this game today?
I'm thinking,
And I don't mean Eagles Giants either. Come on.
thinking Chiefs like 24-7.
Oh wow, 24-7.
No faith. No fucking faith.
24-0. Well, you got faith in the Chiefs. You didn't have faith in your guys' team. That's
fucking A. That's harsh.
24-7.
You gonna do a Christmas baby like that? A fellow Christmas baby like that? That's wrong. That's just wrong.
X to the D, 24-7. I'll tell you what, just so we can make this right, give me your score for Giants-Philly.
Giants-Philly?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Give me your score for Giants-Philly.
13-28.
Wow. Philly?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
And then then last but not least, give me your score for San Francisco-Baltimore tonight.
Oh, that's I got 35-28 Baltimore.
Oh! 35-28 Baltimore with the upset. All right. So
well, listen, we just set we did set a place setting for the two of you now for Christmas dinner. Now, no, because V-Rock's not going to have any of that. No.
Wow. Okay. So
you're eating outside in the cold.
All right. So Mike and I agree on all three games. Actually, all three of us agree on the first two. Zave is stepping out on his own and predicting the Baltimore Ravens to win 35-28.
Wow.
Field goal kickers need not apply. Field goal kickers need not apply. So there you go. There's the teenage voice of the show right there. Xavier Michael Davis with the pick of all picks. Baltimore with the stunning upset today, 35-28. And of course, just so you know, Mike, we'll never hear the end of it if by somehow, some way, Baltimore does win this game tonight.
Oh, I'm losing my Twitter handle because, yeah.
Don't worry, Dave's not on Twitter, so don't worry about that. He's
perfect. Okay.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
All right, let's
look, folks. Be sure to go follow us at the Freddie D, at the Bit of Mike, and then of course he's on Twitter and as well as IG as well. Shout out to Henry Thomas. Everybody's been on the show this year. It's been an absolute fantastic. We got one more show before the year's over, so be sure to stick around for that. But anyway, everybody have a fantastic Christmas Day, Hanukkah, Festivus, Kwanzaa, whatever the hell you celebrate. Enjoy it today. Enjoy the football. I know we certainly will. From Kansas City to H-Town, San Antonio, east, west, north, south, all points, north pole, south pole, and all points in between. For the one and only Bit of Mike, I'm still that dude, Freddie B. H-Town, San Antonio, America. You know we love you. Merry Christmas.
peace.
Well done, sir.
Thank you, sir.